Welcome back. This morning, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced cancellation of 83% of USAID, that's the United States Agency for International Development Programs. Rubio went on to say the remaining programs, some 1,000, will now be run under the supervision of the State Department. He also went out of his way to thank Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency for pointing out areas of cost cutting. For more, I want to bring in Raj Kumar and Samantha Vinograd. Sam, CBS News national security contributor. Raj is the president and editor-in-chief of Devex, which covers global development. Raj, what's left?
You know, not much, and we don't actually know which programs are remaining and which are canceled. The administration has run this in a very chaotic way. I'm not sure they know which programs are remaining. And it's interesting because we'd like to see when they say life-saving programs have been retained. Well, what does that mean exactly?
How do you define that?
How do you define that? So many of the ways they've described USAID since the start of this administration have been really foreign to those of us who work in this field. We cover it as a news organization. We broke the story that they were stopping work across USAID programs. And honestly, Major, it doesn't the way they describe the agency doesn't sound anything like the agency that we cover every day, right? They describe it as a criminal organization.
All sorts of corrupt contracts.
Exactly. And Marco Rubio today saying that, hey, this 83% of programs, they don't align with America's interests. These are programs that he and other members of Congress voted for. They created, they earmarked. So it's a little hard to understand what do they really mean at this point.
So we don't know what's left. Sam, do we know what's gone?
We do know what's gone. We know that USAID historically has had about 10,000 personnel. Two-thirds of those personnel have been deployed overseas to about 60 different offices. We know that the vast majority of those personnel have been fired or put on some sort of leave. We also know that they're not just cutting personnel and cutting money. They're also subsuming USAID within the State Department itself, Major. And I'll note, I've worked under 3 presidents. Every president has viewed USAID a little bit differently based on its status. For example, Biden gave the director of USAID a seat at the National Security Council table, which was new. But now we're just seeing USAID as an entity really go away and the State Department exert ownership of the remaining 17% or so of contracts. And you think, you know, USAID had a $40 billion budget or so in fiscal year 2023. The majority of that was for humanitarian assistance in places like Ukraine, Ethiopia, and Jordan. And now what's left, as Raj said, is whatever the administration decides is life-saving. But that's quite objective in the development context.
And Raj, what does that mean bureaucratically that it's in State Department now? What is that? How does that change both the mission and how it's measured?
Yeah, look, what USAID is fundamentally, it's a procurement agency. They're supposed to buy stuff. That's it.
And then moves them to places in the world where they're needed.
You got it.
Whether that's to deal with AIDS, Ebola, malnutrition, measles,
education, agriculture, right? And the State Department is not a procurement agency. They don't have these resources. So as they have laid off, as Sam says, thousands of the people who have that expertise, they now need to bring it into the State Department. So it doesn't feel so much like a reform. It's more of a political takeover. A lot of people wonder, is it even legal? And it's an open question, right? This is an agency that was created as an independent agency by the U.S. Congress. Can the administration just shrink it and absorb it into state? It's kind of an open question. I think it's going to be in the courts to decide that. Is it a smart idea? Also kind of an open question. It may not be any more efficient. Marco Rubio says that in his tweet, that they're going to make it more efficient by bringing in the State Department. I don't know that there's real evidence that that's the case. If you look at the United Kingdom or Canada or Australia, which have done similar things in the last decade or so, it's kind of a mixed bag as to whether this saves the taxpayer any money at all.
Sam, are we sort of dancing around an uncomfortable reality that it's basically dead?
I think today, based upon, Raj and I are on the board of Save the Children together, we're seeing the direct impact of these cuts on nonprofits and other implementing partners. Yes, Major, it does feel like U.S. development assistance is dying, and very purposefully so. Not because of fiscal constraints in countries in Europe, for example, as Raj and I were discussing before the show, but because this administration does not view U.S. foreign assistance as a national security tool. Whereas when I worked in Iraq, when I worked overseas, USAID was always around not because it felt good to help people, but because it helped advance U.S. national security interests to save lives, to help spur economic growth so that the economies around the world were healthy. This administration fundamentally does not think that foreign assistance helps advance U.S. national security.
And Raj, isn't it true that back in the day in the Cold War, USAID was a kind of interesting eyes and ears off the books for lots of other interested national security parties within the federal government?
Yeah, a long time back, there was some of that. But honestly,
little skullduggery going on,
Yeah.
though. I'm going in there for charity stuff, but actually they were handing off information to the CIA and others.
There was some of that a long, long time back. But more recently, really, it's a program that wins hearts and minds. And it's
Or at least tries to.
At least tries to. And has been characterized as, saving a lot of lives in Africa from HIV/AIDS, et cetera. It hasn't really had that national security angle other than to say the U.S. government has an entryway.
To burnish the interest, burnish the image of the United States.
Develop those relationships. And the way it's being closed down, there's a legitimate debate about what should happen to it. But the way it's being closed down is going to really hurt those relationships because it's a sudden cutoff of programs.
And allow others to move in. I mean, we're seeing other countries step in where we used to be like our adversaries to show the U.S. can't be depended on.
Sam Vinograd, Raj Kumar, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.